I want to talk about my dream where I saw the pandemic happen and it ending. It was always very striking how the dream ended where I walked backwards wearing blue glasses into the parking garage. And for me, when I walked into that parking garage for the comedy show behind Hot Mamas on Capitol Hill, I instantly knew my dream was over. Unfortunately, there for another like 3 or 4 months, I was still trapped inside this space of like not knowing if I was asleep or not. But the dream itself had concluded. What really symbolized that dream had ended was that I entered a parking garage with a group of people. Whereas in the dream, I had entered the parking garage being marched into the parking garage like it was a concentration camp with a group of people. Backwards wearing blue glasses. The backwards I can go along with that being because I brought with me a camera. And so I was going to be looking at the show in a different way. Like I said, hindsight's 2020. Really what I should have named my book. Renting an apartment, January 9th, 2021. I'm in Soda Springs, Idaho, with my boss, Joey. Joey recommends a place for me to rent for the duration of the field season. I'll be collecting bone chips in hills nearby and 3D scanning them in an attempt to reassemble them in Blender with an animation showing the most practical way of reconstructing the bone. Joey is currently renting the room himself to have space away from his family. However, he's willing to sacrifice his sanctuary to me for a little while. The room is in an apartment building in Pocatello. Outside on the sidewalk, the area has an Aurora, Colorado vibe. A man sits on the bench outside smoking a joint. Police descend upon him and arrest him. The police find a large bag of weed saying, "Well, there goes your youth." The police officer and perp smile and turn to face the crowd. A crowd of 30 or so people cheer and clap as the actors bow. The cast call out together, "Never forget the inhumanity of past generations." The building is a Victorian-inspired version of the Charles Gate Apartments in Seattle. Within is a main wide winding staircase leading up the center of the building. Each landing of the stairwell is hidden by huge blankets, giving privacy to each of the tenants' doorways. It's not perfectly covered as I can see behind the blankets on each floor are large aquariums containing large snakes. The center column of the staircase is a thick Bodhi tree with many boa constrictors resting, exploring, and probably hiding in it. It reeks of pet shop odor. I'm not enthusiastic about staying in this place, but I still go to the unit on the third floor and knock on the door. A college-age Caucasian man answers the door. "Oh, are you here to see the room for rent?" He lets me into the trashed college bachelor pad. 3 dogs, too lazy to get up and greet me, lay on the couch. I sit down on the couch and talk with the head roommate. He and the other roommate are black. He hands me a contract which I flip through, reading too quickly. Nothing jumps out at me. Seems to be a simple standard leasing agreement, even though it is ragged, disheveled, and poorly photocopied, as well as covered in excessive circles and highlighter. I don't sign it just yet. Instead, I ask the roommate, "Can I have a tour of the apartment, please?" "Not much to tour. There are only 2 rooms. We 3 share it with the other. You will be sleeping in the living room with the other white boy." The white roommate takes me for a walk in the wild park behind the duplex. The park is nice, but feels like planted nature. He notices a pigeon local to the area, land nearby. It doesn't resemble any pigeon I've ever seen. It's half the size of the pigeons I'm used to and flies much faster. It's also tame enough to let people get very close to them. The roommate walks forward and cups his hands around the bird. He opens his hands to show me the bird. See the coloration on the tail? This is a positive indicator for the particular genre of pigeon. The tail is like a bass fishing lure. The feathers connected to the body with a large sphere where plumage radiates out from. I want to take a picture of this bird. The roommate helps direct the bird to a favorable light. I snap a photo here and there, go around a corner underneath the veranda of the duplex, but nothing comes out the way I'm hoping. I notice he is no longer holding the bird, but instead just holding its tail. What happened to the bird? Oh, I killed the bird and tore off its tail. Why'd you kill that bird? He holds out the body in his other hand and crushes it in his grasp while maintaining a sick look on his face. I became afraid of him and ordered myself, do not react and remain calm as if this were acceptable behavior. Escape naturally when you can without raising suspicions. I take a photo of him holding the tail with my Z6 with a 45mm tilt shift lens. The photo is shot vertically with the lens tilting downward. I'm fairly certain he will attack me, but I remain still and quiet, feeling he will not bother me. He's a great model, remaining so still for so long with two outstretched fists. I get a good focus on the dripping mass of flesh and feathers in his fist. His sick look blurred, but understandable. The other roommate comes out to walk with us. I stay behind and photograph them walking together. The photos come out cartoony. The roommates represented as simple cartoon animals drawn with pen and filled in with pastel. We walked all the way back to where we had just done the photo shoot with the live bird. I rotate around for a panorama of this cartoonish world. It disturbs me that I'm not high, yet I see the world this way. However, when I look up from the viewfinder, the world appears normal. I check the playback on the camera to see what the camera has recorded. The image appears normal. Back inside the unit, I read the contract once more. I return the contract to the head roommate. I'm not signing this. Thanks for showing me the room, though. He is visibly surprised. I collect my camera bag and leave. Outside the door, I feel I've forgotten something, like my SB700 flash. But notice I'm barefoot. I guess I took them off when re-entering the unit. I go back inside and ask, "Hey, can I have my shoes?" They look around and find one next to the Christmas tree and the other hidden in a far corner. The bite marks definitely suggest they were taken by one of the dogs. The tongue of one of my shoes has been torn out. I point this out to the head roommate, who declares, "It's actually no big deal." I walk outside into a screened-in porch and notice my 24-120mm lens sitting on the table with my bandpass filters. I had messed around with my camera out there before going for the walk and must have forgotten to put them back in my camera bag. I pack up my gear. However, I couldn't leave the duplex through the screened-in porch. I return inside the duplex and knock on the door labeled 1. The woman inside is friendly. She lets me pass through her home to leave. But it costs me half an hour because she wants to listen to me speak, but doesn't want to speak back. I share my political feelings, and she only interrupts me periodically to ask a question. She never has anything to say when I ask, "How do you feel?" I continue stating my opinions as I had been before each of her interruptions. Walking through her home to the front door, I ask, "Is this the quickest way out of the building?" She replies, "I'm not really sure. I live on the bottom floor and need a function to get my medication." I open the door and go out onto the front steps and into daylight. I say to myself, "I know you're old, but come on. You knew this was the exit." Hey, I want to thank everyone for supporting the channel. If you haven't yet supported the channel, you can scan this QR code that's right here in your face right now. You can also like, subscribe. That QR code you just scanned actually goes to the Sleep.com app, which was brought to you by Mattress Firm in association with Sleep Score Labs. It's got lots of great articles on there about how to get a better night's sleep, as well as a sleep tracker on there that will actually use sonar to monitor you while you sleep and help diagnose sleep disruptors.